If we do this with any good, or kind of correct-ish, what we do here is we start thinking about how many different ways can certain events occur. For example, if I happen to open up my lunch meat drawer to make a sandwich, and I have ham, turkey, roast beef, and salami, then I also have wheat, white, and rye bread, because why wouldn't you have all those types of breads in your pantry? And then cheese, because I'm such a lover of cheese. I hate cheese. I don't like cheese. I just made up two cheeses. I don't like cheese. I don't like. I just don't like cheese. I eat pizza, but I don't like cheese. I know I'm weird. Do you want cheddar? Okay. Is that how you spell cheddar? So right, if if the pizza is too cheesy, I take the cheese off. I My children are human vacuum cleaners, so my children don't go hungry. I just throw it out, fight. Yeah. Um, Abby laughed. No, honestly, I don't know why it happened. At some point in time in my life, I might have eaten too much cheese, so I became too. Yeah, yeah. I just don't eat. I don't search out and eat cheese. I love pizza. I I must have, but we ordered pizza from World Famous. That's usually where we get our pizza from, and it's and I get the extra meat, like a lot of meat pizza, like sausage, pepperoni, bacon, like lots of yeah. So when you get all that meat on there, there's less cheese because there's more meat. Anyway, as I digress, it's delicious. And so, how many different types of sandwiches, if I'm going to choose one of each, can I make? Well, how many different types of lunch meat can I pick? Four of them. How many breads? And how many cheeses? Which means how many different types if I choose one of each? Correct. This is all you do. And you start thinking about it, as math seems relatively simple, start thinking about Subway. When you go to Subway, think about the options you have at Subway. Bless you. When you are at bless you. When you're at Subway, bless you. Apparently, we're all just going to get. Yeah. When you go to Subway, guys, I don't have much here, so stop. When you go to Subway, you have your first decision. Are you going with what is it, the 6-inch or the 12-inch, right? So you have two choices up front for and then you have the bread. How many different breads do they have at Subway? Seven, sure. All right. Now, obviously, when you get going into Subway, you've got all the different types of meats. And if I'm not mistaken, we looked it up once. I think there was at least 12 different meats, whether it was like a meatball or whatever. If you're going to pick one. So say there's 12. Toppings. All those different little toppings. Obviously, you can do multiple versions and things like that. You can choose up to and including every single one of them. You can pick just one of them and whatnot. But let's just say, for sake of argument, there's 24 different toppings. I think it's about no, there's like, what 20 of them maybe. Lettuce, man, we're getting there. So we'll say that there's about 16 like veggie thingies you can do. Topping wise, I'm not even there yet. Oh yeah, cheese. How many cheeses? Sorry, how many cheeses do they have? 11 cheeses. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I haven't been to a Subway in 3 or 4 years. Subways make you smell. The funk of a Subway just gets to me. I hate the smell of inside the Subway. You know what I'm talking about, right? The Subway smell when you walk into the store. It's gross. I'm not a fan of the stench of going because it lingers on your clothes. You're like, I got the Subway funk. I don't know. Anyway, Yes, ma'am. Meats. Sure. Then you had what? Toppings. There's like oil, vinegar, dressings, salt, pepper, oregano. We'll say there's 8. And then I did cheese. We said 11. And then let's say you can now say I want it toasted or non-toasted. Obviously, this is not the order. That's you know what? I'm just using an everyday real world example. 473,088 different sandwiches if you choose one of each. Okay? Now divide that by 365. 1,000 how much? So there's 1,296 years worth of Subway sandwiches. One a day. Well, divide that by 3. So you have 432 years of Subway sandwiches if you had 3 a day, every day. But think about it. Average life expectancy is around 80 years. And you don't normally start eating sandwiches until about, what, 5? Anyway, yes, sir. I would get to that. This is for right now. You're picking one of each. So, guys, what's happening here is you start getting into it. When you well, I'm sorry. 3 days a week, 3 a week, 3 a day. A lot of sandwiches. Anyway, so what's happening here? What's happening here is you get this thing called the fundamental. Don't write all this out. Is this thing called the fundamental theorem of counting? What that means is that in the way that however many events can occur, if one event can occur 5 different ways and another event can occur 3 different ways, the number of ways you can make them completely occur would just be by multiplying them together. Another way of looking at it is like shirt and tie combos. You know, if I have 12 dress shirts, I have like 18 dress shirts and 30 different ties. How many different combinations could I get? It would be 18 times 30. You start looking, do I ever match? Does it matter? Today isn't bad, but a lot of times they don't. Whatever. But it doesn't matter. It's if you start looking at combinations, like how many different ways can you do this something? And you start picking out, all right, you've got how many sweatshirts do you have? No, seriously. Go through, and you start thinking about it tomorrow. When you go home tonight. Count sweatshirts, because everybody's got a sweatshirt, right? Count sweatshirts and T-shirts. No. Think about it. If you just go T-shirts and sweatshirts and pants, how many different pairs of pants do you have? Now, if you want to call pants sweatpants, leggings, shorts, whatever, things that you put on your legs, how about that? Okay, so count pants as whatever, shorts, bottoms. Yes, all right, I like them. We'll call them bottoms. And just because Mr. Grimm wanted to be fancy and cool about socks, count your socks. Now, pairs. We'll call it pairs of socks. Because obviously, we all have at least 1 or 2 socks that's missing a match. Because it just happens. Now, what I want you to do, this is goofy. Just go through those 4 things, and I'll do that too with sweatshirts, t-shirts, bottoms, and socks. And we'll look at how many different. Pick one of each out of one category. That you're going to pick 1 sweatshirt, 1 t-shirt, 1 bottom, and a pair of socks. And you're going to how many different outfits combinations are you going to be able to come out with? Okay. Yes, ma'am. The other stuff is pretty easy, but I'm just saying. I just want you to just look at it and just count it. You know, it's going to take you 3 minutes. Just t-shirts, like short sleeve t-shirts. Just go regular short sleeve t-shirt, okay? However you want to call it. This also, now this is kind of a morbid way of looking at it. Let's say somebody came up and stole Maggie's stuff. And somebody stole her stuff, and the police are going to come, and they're going to bring a sketch artist, not a sketchy artist, but a sketch artist.
And keep it going.
They are able to piece together all these different facial features. All these different facial features. The courtroom guy. To help identify the suspect. Who was that masked man that stole Maggie's stuff? Now, it was Shipke. Everybody blames Shipke. Now, when you look at it, that means that there are 195 different hairlines, 99 eyes and eyebrows because they come together, 89 noses, 105 mouths, and 74 chins and cheeks. So if you multiply all that together, you get a really, really, really big number. You have like 1.33 to the 10th, so he's got to add 8 zeros. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm 1.33 to the 10th. Okay. So that basically says, is Shipke the best? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You might be able to see this. I'll share. Found the culprit, Maggie. So great. Anyway, so basically what happens here is that there are more combinations than there are people on Earth. Yeah. So here's the idea that you know how police always say, or you've heard with self-defense stuff, always be aware of your surroundings. Well, let's just say that you're able to identify the masked bandit because they just had a mask covering their mouth and their hairline, and all you saw was this. So you knew what their eyes and their nose looked like. So if you know what if you know it, then you're really on good. So if you happen to know and you can recognize what their eyes look like, and you knew what their nose looked like, that means you didn't have to multiply those two numbers. Because they were wearing a ski mask that just happened to cover their nose or their nose. Pretty much, so if you multiply those together, what do you get? How much? 195, 105, and 74? So the masked bandit was 1 in a billion. And her stuff was miraculously found because she was able to identify the suspect because she knew what the person's eyes and nose looked like. This worked really great first hour. I can only imagine who I talked about on that one. Her eyes were rolling so hard. It was crazy. It was so funny. Anyway, that's the idea. This is also how Powerball works. Powerball. You guys know how Powerball works? I think they just changed it. They've added more numbers to it, but I'm going off the fact of how Powerball was. When you do Powerball, there's 54 balls in the ping pong balls in the hopper that spins around. One ball comes out, how many are left? Okay. So you have to multiply that by 53, then there's 52, then there's 51, there's 50. You're thinking of the exclamation point, so like 54! Like that. But that would do 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, all the way down to 1. That's called a factorial. In this case, okay. Let's hear you. Okay. It's not as scary as that picture of Shimky though. Now, with the way the Powerball works.
Are you doing factorial?
I did!
Nice! That's so much fun! I like yelling in class.
Anyway, so Shimky yells 4 all the time. He's playing factorial. He's not golfing. He's factorial. Anyway, so you got the first 5, then it goes back to the other one. There's 54. If you multiply all that out, you get a stupid big number. Okay, what do you get? Help me out here. Oh, all right. The reason why it goes back to 54, they go 5 numbers, and then there's another Powerball hopper. That's got another 54. So, okay, so it starts over. So what was the number? So we get. So. Oh, you forgot a 50. Kind of. You forgot the 50. So, if you really go through it, that means the Powerball has a little over 20 billion different ways of numbers coming up. So when people, yes, sir. Right, yeah. It's what happens is when you have Powerball, it's just lottery. You buy a $2 ticket, you randomly select your numbers. You're just trying to hopefully maybe you'll get lucky and do that. If you think about the idea of we're not talking about probabilities yet in this class, but if you buy one ticket and you have one string of numbers, that's one out of basically a little over 20 billion different possibilities. So you start really compounding when you get to probabilities. Even if you spent $1 billion on Powerball tickets, you still have another 19 billion possible values that you could choose from that could happen. So your $1 billion might not work. Okay? So when they start getting up there with Powerballs, this is where probabilities start to play in this a little bit. And we're not doing any of that today, but the idea of being struck by lightning, I think the probability of being struck by lightning is like a 1 in 100,000. I want to say. If we only have the internet somewhere close to us to look that up. But what happens is you have a better chance of being struck by lightning, I think, over 2 times in your lifetime than winning the Powerball. You have a better chance of being mauled by a rabid tiger in DeKalb than winning the Powerball. Yes, sir. 960,000, so 1 on 960,000. So So if you multiply, yeah, so you basically have a better chance of being struck by lightning multiple times than winning this. When you get into these, guys, when you get to this idea of counting and using these counting principles, you're looking at ways that events can occur. 20 billion. Yes, sir. I would suggest if you do get struck by lightning more than once, I would play the Powerball because the luck was probably on your side because you're not dead. So there's that. 1 in 20 billion to win the Powerball. Yep. This also gets you the license plates. Example the textbook uses is license plates from New York. And I'll explain how it works in Illinois a little bit differently here in a second. In New York, what they do with their license plates is that their first 3 digits are numbers, the next 3 digits are letters. So what they talk about is this idea of how many different combinations are there if you allow what's called repetition or non-repetition. If I allow repetition, that means I can have the same number multiple times. How many digits are there? 10 digits, 0 through 9. So if I want to do this where I can repeat the numbers, there's 10 possible here, another 10 here, another 10 here. How many letters are there? So if you multiply all those together, you get another big number. Was it 17 million or something like that? $17.5-ish. So you get roughly So you have roughly in New York 17.5 million different license plates if you allow for repetition. If you don't allow for repetition, that means if the first number is a 10 or it has a 0, then the next one there's only 9 to choose from, 8 to choose from. And then you only have how much? 11 million-ish?
You only have 11?
11.4 you said? And for right now, I'm just writing down the ish values just so you can type it in and get the exact value, but what we're looking at is as you get going into license plates and cars and things like that, depending upon the state, you can pick and choose your license plates if you want. In Illinois right now, I believe they're putting new license plates are usually for cars, a letter, and then I think it's usually like 6 digits after that is what they've been doing lately. You can have, I think in Illinois, you can have 7 numbers and letters. In cars, you have to have letters first and then a number. Or you can have all letters. That's called a vanity plate if you pick all letters. If you have all numbers that you select, I think that's they call personal plate. So depending upon what you get, what you want, you can actually request your own license plate. And then you can choose different variations. And that's why in Illinois, you guys have all seen that there's Cubs plates, Sox plates, Bears plates, Blackhawks plates. There's antique vehicles. You've got all these different ones. I mean, myself, my wife, and I, we both have Cubs plates. My motorcycle has Cubs plates. And just because I'm a nerd and I like the Cubs. And it was kind of cool to put my name on it. But whatever. For those of you guys that are getting to the point where if you do want to spend money to personalize license plates and stuff like that, you can go on, I think it's Cyber Drive, Illinois, Secretary of State's website, and you can do what's called pick a plate. If your parents have personal plates, they probably did that, where they pull up things, they type in different configurations of words and stuff that you wanted to have on your license plates. Obviously, you can't put poop on a license plate. They're usually frowned upon for that one. I don't think you put poop on there. You can't intermix numbers and letters in Illinois. You can't do that. I think California you can because there's more cars in California. So, what's that? With an aching in your heart. Led Zeppelin song. Anyway, so you can do stuff like that. It's really kind of cool. And as you get a little older, you can do stuff, and if you wanted to, I thought it was kind of neat. Cyberdrive, Illinois. What's that? You can't. But yeah, it lets you pick all your different license plates. That's how we got our plates. Literally or figuratively? The answer is no. We did the Powerball, really experienced. We're not gonna do that. So, can I post some homework problems yet? What is it? So, I forgot what page it is, but was it 15 through 22, and then I know the PDF is posted, so thank you, ma'am. Give those a shot. It's a lot of the counting ones. Some of the back half. I think there might be one of them in the back half that has a permutation to it. I thought I skipped it, but if not, we'll talk about it tomorrow. You guys remember in Algebra 1, you probably did things called permutations and combinations, NPR, NCR. Remember those? We do that again in here where you have where order matters, where order doesn't matter. We bring that all back together again here. We do a lot of that with cards, like how many different hands can you arrange, things like that. So we'll get into that probably more tomorrow and Wednesday. Who? Poop is? You can put poopy on there? Really? No way. Holy cow, I had no idea. Hey, who wants license plate says poo pie? I want a poo pie. You want a... That's funny. That's funny. So, good times. Oh, Illinois, you're so funny. That's also one of the reasons why the state of Illinois, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, there's about 20 to 30 different license plates, and then they're trying to not let the new ones happen. So, good times. Oh yeah, what does he have?
He has like his favorite song.
Oh, what is it? What do you want, cheese? I thought I skipped that one. I thought I skipped over that one. On 15? I thought I skipped that one. Beat that. No, what I have in there, skipping 58, you're fine. Yeah, no, what we're doing, what we have is right. I'm skipping all the permutations, commutations. 15 through 22 doesn't have any permutations. What's 1 times 3? Go to the next problem.